Adam Lemoine isn't liking what he's seeing. While these soybeans look healthy and full of pods, it's the weather that's bothering him.
If we stay in this heat, I think within the next 3 weeks it'll look a lot like the ones that are starting to really let go now, starting to really die out. So right now we're at the point it could go either way for a lot of this crop.
This is Lemoine's early season beans. Some have already shriveled and died. The shriveled soy is due to weeks without rain, and he says this is the future for all of his fields if he doesn't get rain soon.
Well, the earlier stuff is really beginning to stress a whole lot with the triple-digit heat we've been having here the last several weeks with no rain. It's really starting to show up.
The hot, dry weather was good for the corn harvest. At Viserion Grain in Lettsworth, they're finishing a banner crop. Will Field says, though, for soybeans, significant yield loss has already taken place.
15 to 20 bushels per acre less than what they were anticipating. Quality so far, very early on, has looked really good. It's just yields I don't think are going to be there with this hot, dry weather. The beans have not filled out. They're just getting really stressed. They're going to be small. They're going to be smaller in size. So it's just going to be, it's going to be a fast bean harvest.
On top of the weather concerns, the market has been unfriendly this year. The high input costs from last have hung around, while the premium for barge basis has fallen, according to Farm Bureau grain marketing specialist Greg Fox.
Sith values are kind of low right now, and so you're not seeing bases as strong. So you can buy barges cheap right now. And there's really not a whole lot of market out there for barges. The export business is not where it was at this point last year, so you're seeing bases cheap.
Meanwhile, Lemoine says he and farmers in his area are just trying to hang on for a rain.
If we get some rain here in the near future, we may have a chance to stay on track, but I think if we continue with this kind of heat with no rain, it's not going to look good at all.
Prices for soybeans have dropped about $2 to $3 per bushel since last year, and corn has dropped $1 or so. Now, while the Black Sea grain deal collapsing added some value to the markets, beneficial rains across the Midwest, plus an abundant South American crop, has put a lot of downward pressure on the markets. And Avery, one thing that's happened here recently is that the governor has declared a state of emergency for Louisiana due to the dry weather. Of course, the primary concern is wildfires, but that is going to have a big impact on our grains, and I think a lot of our farmers are going to be applying for their crop insurance, if not additional supplemental assistance for their crops.
I know later on in the show, Carl Wiggers is going to show us some of the crops that are affected by this drought as well, but you've been traveling the state just as well. What are you seeing when you go out there, Neil?
Well, I think if you see in my package, Will Field talks about that 10 to 15 bushel per acre drop. And, it does depend on whether it's dry land or irrigated, but with irrigated crops, they're spending that money on water, and they haven't had any rains, so a lot of that is just being, what they're going to gain in yields, a lot of that's going to be taken out in overhead. I think for a lot of these dry land stuff, I just don't see, without a rain in the next week or so, how they're going to make it.
Well, we just got to keep praying. Thank you very much, Neil Melancon.